So, you find yourself on the Unrelent Gaming channel. How fortunate for you. I, Lord Frieza, will spare your life as long as you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for tons of exclusive content to early access media and much more. Do it now, or else.
Now, while I must confess that I find myself brimming with curiosity in seeing as to how far Ivalco is going to take Goku when testing his angelic prowess, after all the breakthroughs and divine trials that Goku has endured thus far, I seemingly can't help but now begin to wonder on just which one of them between the two will end up in emerging as the last warrior standing when this is all over.
As our story now continues, following the initial encounter and training session within the Angel Realm, now having to involve both Angel Goku and Angel Ivalco, to which it was only upon with Whis having to be now shown handicapping Goku while having to preserve himself for a later Angel Ivalco, to which it was only upon with Whis having to be now shown handicapping Goku while having to preserve himself for a later Angel Ivalco, to which it was only upon with Whis having to be now shown handicapping Goku while having to preserve himself for a later who had lost the last time that both you and I had competed within the tournament at the exact same time, and so don't ever go and forget about what happened on that very day, Goten. And even though a lot has changed since the days of when we had battled against each other when we were just little kids, Trunks continues, I haven't went and forgotten about who it is that I am, Goten, and so now hurry it up and stand back up on your feet because I'm not done. But then, it was suddenly just then now from out of nowhere as Orange Piccolo was was then shown having to quickly make his presence known in swooping on in by kicking Trunks away before having to battle both Trunks and Goten at the same time, was when Piccolo went on to then quickly respond. And this is exactly on why I always have to go and remind for the two of you to never go and let your guard down, even if you are under the impression that you are winning when in reality you are not. Because while Goten continues to remain far too trusting, you on the other hand, Trunks, remain far too cocky even when it's for your very own good, but that's just the beginning of it, Piccolo says. And so instead of having to now go and remind one another on the battles to which the two of you had waged when you were mere children, Piccolo went on to then continue, you should instead be more fixated and worried about going and getting by with your training here against me, because I'm just getting started here, and so you'd better keep it together. With Trunks responding, well then just you wait until Goten and I were to go and show you our super secret techniques that him and I have been working on. Isn't that right, Goten? With Goten responding, that's right, and even though we still haven't had much time to go and practice in using them on anyone, we actually now figure who better than to go try them all out on than you. And that is exactly the attitude on why the two of you can never seem to go and get anything done all on your very own. Piccolo then proceeds upon being shown having to throw both Goten and Trunks into the distance, because even despite with your newly awakened god powers and having to now place the two of you within a completely different and far more capable level, the two of you still remain vastly more inexperienced than the rest of us, and that is why you are struggling, Orange Piccolo went on to then add. But while you are both still very much far better off than how you were before it was when we came inside of the hyperbolic time chamber, Piccolo continues, try not to go and let this go to your heads in allowing for the two of you to even think about using fusion this early on here against me, because you can forget it if you think that I'll go and allow for it to pass when we still have so much more that needs to go and be done here between us, Piccolo continues. But since we are already on the subject, Piccolo adds, before the two of you are to go and undergo the fusion technique, there is a secondary fusion idea that I wanted for the two of you to go and try now that all three of us are in here alone with nothing left to sidetrack us, Piccolo continues, and so now listen closely. To which it was only all the while in the meantime when then having to go and venture on back within the realm of the gods and seeing as to how Mastered Ultra Ego Vegeta was still shown in having to battle against Beerus alongside his fellow gods of destruction, to which it was only just upon with Champa having to now be shown speaking with Iwan was when Champa went on to then quickly respond, I just don't get it, Iwan. Why is Vegeta so much more different than any of the other Saiyans whom I've witnessed come and go throughout the years, Champa questions, as it is infuriating to see him here just as much as it is to watch him battle against the other gods, because I want to know on what exactly is it that makes this Saiyan as special as he is demonstrating himself out there to be, with Iwan responding, well, you have to admit that whatever the reasoning is behind how or why Vegeta happens to be the way that he is, at the same time, you cannot go and deny that your brother Lord Beerus had done a pretty good job in having to go and bring the absolute best out of the Saiyan. Iwan continues, because it's not very often where a mortal such as him is shown to be contending against gods of destruction like this, Champa, but since I'm pretty sure that while Vegeta can only happen to go and maintain this level of destructive intensity for just enough time before he begins to deteriorate from the inside, and if there is one thing that I will go out of my way and say here, Champa, it's that Lord Beerus sure did happen to go and find himself the perfect protege, and so I'd be a little worried here if I were you, Champa. To which it was only moreover when having to take a look and seeing as to how Vegeta was shown and having to be shown driving Beerus further out as he was sent flying across the tournament stage courtesy of Vegeta's strike, was when Beerus went on to then slowly stand back up by responding, oh, this is absolutely ridiculous, and to think that if I had known prior that this would be the result of what Vegeta's god training would end up in being, like Beerus utters, then I never would have agreed in taking that Saiyan under my wing to begin with, but perhaps I shouldn't go and allow for my frustrations to go and get the better of my judgments, because how can I be mad when this was what I had expected, Beerus questions, and while it is infuriating beyond words to go and watch as my student has now come to go and surpass me, Beerus continues, I begrudgingly have to admit that I am also very proud to see on how far Vegeta has come since the early days of when I first trained him, for it is almost admirable in its sheer stubbornness, Beerus adds, but when given with how far Vegeta has come and seeing as to where he currently is, he has grown to not only go and adapt to the grueling punishments that have been delivered onto his mortal body by a way of improving upon his destructive durability, but with the amount of force that will ultimately be required to go and permanently ensure for this mortal's defeat to come with a guaranteed succession, and I am confident to say that there aren't going to be many who will go and come close enough in doing the necessary damage that is needed in order for the Saiyan to go and be put down for good. However, Beerus continues, while I have no doubt that it will more than likely be Vegeta who will end up in having to be the one who will prevent me from advancing if I were to end up in having to face off against him within this upcoming tournament, Beerus continues, then given with what it is that I already know along with my experiences in dealing with it until the day finally comes when this tournament is set to finally begin, then I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't go and be okay with having this be the outcome, because even if the scenario were to suddenly arrive where I would go and find myself in losing against Vegeta, Beerus continues, then I am still victorious by an extension of his victories as he advances, since Vegeta just so happens to still be my direct protege, Beerus continues, as facing the combined fury of the gods of destruction has now forced Vegeta to hone his ability to wield Hakai Essence at a level that I didn't think a mortal could ever go and possibly come to achieve this quickly. But not only did his physical prowess strengthen, but his mental fortitude has hardened as well, Beerus adds, almost as if there is something that is still allowing for him to stay alive long enough in order for him to adapt and overcome. But this too does not surprise me, Beerus continues, because while I still intend on going and putting Vegeta through far more than what he was shown in having to go through thus far, as the day of the Omni Kings tournament draws ever so closer by the day, even though Vegeta has grown to become far stronger when wielding this form than even I could have previously imagined for him to go and be, the sheer volume of destructive punishment has now left Vegeta's body in a critical state of rapid fatigue, Beerus continues, and with his back against the wall, just as I'm sure on how it's going to be during Lord Zeno's Omniversal Tournament event, you better not go and think about wavering just yet here, Vegeta, because I'm not done with you here, Saiyan. To which it was only more over when then having to go back and taking a look at seeing as to how Multus Prime and Hawkus were continuously shown in having to oversee Vegeta's training session was when Multus Prime went on to address Hawkus directly by then responding, "Do not look away, Hawkus, for his body has adapted to the destructive punishment caused by these rivaling gods of destruction, as the destructive absorption potency within Vegeta's very nature has allowed for him to grow now exponentially," Multus Prime continues, as punishments that once lasted mere seconds now stretch into grueling minutes, and yet still he stands and still he pushes forward, Multus continues, and because Vegeta deserves to face off against a far stronger and far more capable god of destruction than the ones that he is currently shown in having to fight against right now for this so-called omniversal training of his, then I want for you to go and prepare yourself, as you will go and take charge in furthering this battle against him, Hawkus. However, be that as it may, do not go and underestimate what you see before you by any means if you expect to survive what most of your compatriots were not able to, Hawkus, for this is an extremely